please welcome Amy Coddington-Burnett.
Yeah, I haven't been in prison. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm so excited. Well, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I wasn't really an A student, and any effort that I put into my work, I was really lucky to get an A. See, I was born a procrastinator, and though there's no P in DNA, when I came into the world 3 weeks late, I was wearing loafers, not track shoes. As a little girl, I mirrored and aspired to be my mother. She too was a procrastinator, but she was also this really creative, imaginative, spontaneous, glass always half full person. But she liked to do things in her own time, and she kind of rebelled against the norms of structure, of being organized, and wanted to follow her own timelines. One example of this was when I was a little girl and we would have company come to the house. It was a really big deal. So she would implore my brother, sister, and I to help her do some last-minute cleaning. She named this midnight cleaning. She would allow us to drink bottles of Coca-Cola and stay up later than we would normally stay up. And I'm convinced if I had asked her for a cigarette and a cup of coffee, she probably would have said yes. We were doing things like cleaning out the linen closet, making sure we had the appropriate amount of toothpicks in the toothpick holder, taking the knobs off of the electric stove and cleaning those. I never knew there was a baseboard behind a toilet. Let's just put it that way. You see, my mom was married to a military man, and there was always a certain amount of preparedness that existed in him. So to be married to a procrastinator is a lot different than raising a procrastinator. My lazy, disheveled, lackadaisical way of being was a big frustration for my father. He wasn't Mike Brady, but he was more like Ward Cleaver. And he would parent me with disclaimers like, "Buck up. Go get the stink blown off of you. Hey, do you want to end up like your Aunt Sylvia? Do you?" That's a whole other story. But he also would say things like, "If you don't get in the house by a certain time, there's a ghost wagon out in the farmer's field that will pick you up." And the searchlights from the racetrack, I asked him what those meant, and he said that there were criminals loose. So if I didn't get in by 8 o'clock, I would be kidnapped by I was a nervous wreck as a kid. So I leaned more heavy on my mom in those days, and we sure did have fun procrastinating, living loose and not rigid. One example I often tell about this was I had lived in Boston, and I was getting ready to take a bus home to the Adirondacks. And I, like usual, had no clean laundry. So I asked my roommate Adele if I could borrow a pair of her underwear for my, it's always nice to be fresh on the bus, so that I could get home. She said she didn't have a pair of her own underwear, but I could borrow her boyfriend's brief underpants. I said, "I'll take it." So I get home, and I see my mom. I say, I've got to show you something. Come here. So I pull my pants down below my knees, and there I am with my friend's boyfriend's brief underpants on. And she says, wait a second. And she hurriedly undoes her pants, and she pulls them down below her knees, and she's wearing my dad's brief underpants. She said that when she ran out of underwear, sometimes she would take a pair of his underpants from the top drawer. And so there we stood looking at each other, laughing, with our pants half down, just kind of at the irony of it all, right? Sometimes there's magic when you forget things, you know. Things that were lost, we found in each other this common place. When my mother was fading and it was time to take care of her, she was starting to leave this earth. There was no time to procrastinate, especially when you want to keep your loved one earthside. You know what? I forgot to tell you one thing about my dad. If I did not get up early in the morning, or like 0800 hours, he would blow his bugle to wake me up out of bed. Whereas my mom would say in her really sing-song voice, "Good morning, Doodlebug. Time to get up. What's your fruitful plan for the day?" And I'd lay in bed going, "Fruitful plan? I don't even have a plan for the day." But it seemed less demanding and a little bit more gentle. And it seemed like I could stay in bed a couple more hours when she woke me up. So back to when, on her last days on earth, and my sister, myself, and my stepfather, were taking care of her, taking turns for her day-to-day care, I realized that preparedness had to replace procrastination. It's a lot of work to keep someone alive. And the regime that my dad was taught in the military all of a sudden came through with me, where I would say to my mother, "Okay, it's 0800, up and at 'em, BOG, boots on the ground. If you don't move it, you're going to lose it. Hey! Why do you have your fingers in the sugar bowl? You already had 2 cookies. After 3 nebulizers, it's time to shit, shower, and shave. Roger?" It was almost like midnight cleaning came back in a different way, right? So if I were to ask my mom at the end of her life, "Good morning, Mom, what's your fruitful plan for the day?" I think she would have said, "I want to stay in my house. I want to be in my house when I die. I want to be with my girls and my family." So I'm not blowing my own bugle, but for the first time in my life, I got an A for effort because we were able to keep my mom in her house to her dying day. Thank you.